Fears of oil shortages because of the war have sparked panic buying at many petrol stations across the country and sent the price at the bowser soaring.
Stephen, what are the experts saying as to how high prices might go?
Well, the average price in Sydney is now $2.20 a litre, and as is most capital cities. And Jeff Trotter, the director of Fuel Track, who was once a Shell national manager, he's saying you could add another 40 cents a litre within the next week when the retail price starts reflecting the crude oil prices. So for the average motorist, that'll mean $2.65 a litre for the basic E10 unleaded and possibly $2.90 for that diesel, which is in short supply in many regional areas, threatening the produce on the supermarket shelves.
What is the government doing about it?
Well, what you're meant to do is when things are going bad, you have a meeting. And so Energy Minister Chris Bowen is holding a roundtable with industry experts and the National Farmers Federation to reassure them that there is enough fuel supply, that 32 days is there, that to reassure the public. But it's also to perhaps look at prioritising diesel going to farmers to make sure they can keep producing those fruit and vegetables and the milk, because the diesel's needed for the generators, for the tractors, and for those trucks that transport the stuff you eat every meal that you have, 3 meals a day at least.
We've already won in many ways, but we haven't won enough.
We're officially 10 days into the US-Israel war with Iran, and America's Central Command has tweeted an update. 5,000 targets hit and more than 50 Iranian warships damaged or sunk.
Why did we just capture the ship? We could have used it. Why did we sink them? They said it's more fun to sink them. I said, that's a...
And countless missile launches destroyed. A dizzying array of US military assets have been deployed in the conflict, from B-2 stealth bombers and F-35 stealth fighters to something called a U-2 Dragon Lady. Donald Trump also spoke on the 10-day anniversary of the war starting, providing a reason for the conflict.
And remember, Iran did so many bad things.
Thankfully, he provided a little more detail.
If they were going to attack us, 100%. They were ready. They had all these missiles, far more than anyone thought, and they were going to attack us.
And then there was this disturbing revelation.
And if they had a nuclear weapon, they would have used it on Israel.
Most importantly, Trump also gave an admittedly vague indication of when he thought the war would end.
Are you thinking this week it will be over?
No,
Are you talking
but soon.
about days?
I think so.
Exactly what the US has to achieve before it claims victory remains to be seen. But Donald Trump clearly considers it a done deal.
I don't know when they cry uncle, but they should have cried it 2 days ago, right? But they don't have anything left.
The Australian Council of Trade Unions is pushing for new national safety standards to allow staff to stop work during extreme heat.
The ACTU think that temperatures above 36 degrees, are not viable for miners to work in. And the problem with that is the Pilbara is pretty much above 36 degrees for half the year. So, mining industry groups and miners are sort of flummoxed as to how this would work in practice.
So historically, how has the mining industry approached heat stress and working in those pretty inhospitable conditions?
When temperatures do get extremely hot, they would, periodically down tools, for example, but it would be area by area. So some areas are shaded, some areas are more exposed to the heat. So, during hot periods, they might work in one area where it's, shadier and cooler, and then when it cools down, move to the other area. So they've always sort of adopted a fluid approach that has worked for decades. So this sort of blanket approach to downing tools, apart from, really constraining mining, just, it seems unnecessary.
I'm joined now by the CEO of the Chamber of Minerals and Energy in Western Australia, Aaron Morey. Aaron, I think everybody wants workers to be safe, but the idea that the Pilbara is hot is certainly not a new phenomenon. So has there been any increase in heat stress related accidents that might have motivated the ACTU to float this idea?
We've got decades of experience for our sector operating in what are harsh conditions, and our members and the sector more broadly has always taken very seriously its responsibility to ensure that people can work safely. And what we have seen over decades is a very harmonious and productive relationship between member companies and their workers, and to the mutual benefit of both parties. And so for the ACTU, from their headquarters in Melbourne, to sort of enter this discussion with the sort of commentary that they've made, I think betrays probably an ignorance on the sort of trusted relationships that exist between workers and companies, and the significant and serious work that both of those stakeholders have done over decades to ensure that the most productive part of the economy operates as safely as possible.